Hello and good day to all friends. This is Mojtaba Rasti from the Thales team, and today, November 12th, 2025, I'm here with you to analyze Bitcoin using the Thales Market Screener tool. Please note that these analyses are for educational and informational purposes only, and if you use them to take positions in the market, the responsibility for any profit or loss will be entirely your own. Alright, before we get started, friends, let me mention something. Some of you had questions or pointed out that the timing of the analysis is such that the market moves have already happened, so it might not be very applicable. But look, for almost 2 days now, this arrow has been on our chart in this exact way, meaning we've been following this move step by step. So, the analyses that are provided are a continuation of each other. For example, in yesterday's analysis, we talked about today's potential targets, checked the end-of-week expiry, and outlined a scenario for the coming days, which ultimately led to this arrow. So, don't get too hung up on what I have to say right now. We've already discussed the overall possible movement, and so far, the price has pretty much followed that path. I think it's better to look at the analyses more broadly. If you focus on the purpose and intention, you'll get what you need, and you won't necessarily have to wait for my daily analysis. Now, let's take a look at what's happened. Yesterday, we reviewed the upper zone, saw the move toward the lower zone, and there was a bit of penetration into the lower zone. Around 102,500 to 103 was seen. Now, in line with this arrow, the move is happening upward. The question now is, how far will we go? How far up will we go? You see, we're following this trend right now. It's clear that we've taken strong support from the bottom of this trend, and now we're encountering the midline of this ascending channel. Naturally, when hitting the midline, there will be some challenges, and for now, we're looking at the option of heading toward the top of the channel, meaning 107, 107,500, 108. For now, we're in this upward trend. So, our outlook is currently bullish. Let's move on to do a more detailed review on the market screener and see what insights we can get there. The second point, let's look at the daily chart. Well, on the daily chart, this red candle is being pulled back upward. What does that mean? It means that this pullback where the RSI has touched its moving average is finding support. So, it's important to see by the end of the day how much of this red candle can be recovered. Now, looking at the weekly chart, this is interesting too. At the end of this corrective leg, at the end of this downward move that started a few weeks ago, we've reached this doji candle. There are still 4 days left until the weekly candle closes, so naturally, it's a bit early, but if this candle even closes as a doji at the end of this downtrend, it means that the downward pressure has eased. That's the first message we can get from it. Considering the other factors we've analyzed, the bottom of that bullish channel and the 50-week moving average, when we put all these together, it suggests that the downward move has lost its momentum. This doji can indicate that, and it could be a sign that the next candle might be greener and more bullish. Alright, let's go back to the 4-hour chart and the market screener. Let's check the market screener from the start of today up to now for the contracts expiring. Tomorrow, for the contracts expiring tomorrow. For the contracts expiring tomorrow, November 13th, let's refresh. 2,445 bitcoins have been traded in the form of 1,272 option contracts, resulting in a volatility curve for tomorrow, a volatility curve. If we move the slider forward, you'll see nothing unusual happens. It doesn't change much. The bottom of this volatility is 103,200, which we've already seen. Even if we go back to the time of entry, the lowest point here was about 102,600, so that low has already been reached. Now we're moving upward, and that's a bullish trend. So, the target could be this 108 point and this 109 ceiling, based on what we're seeing here. The target could be these points. And you can also see the delta, so its tendency is probably more upward according to the trend, and seeing 108 to 109 is likely. For now, let's look at the process database. In the process data, it's the same story, still volatile, but in the process data, the volatility ceiling is lower. It seems, yes, 106 is the volatility ceiling we're heading toward, 106, 106, and now it's at 107. And if we move the slider forward, you'll see it doesn't really make much difference. Take a look, recent trades in the process database, and by the way, I should mention the open interest here, because we also have negative open interest. But aside from that, recent trades have pushed the ceiling up to 107,600 and 108, which is actually the top of our current bullish channel. Alright, let's go ahead and draw the indicator zones and continue. As you can see, the buyers and sellers consensus is upward, and we're moving up as well. The upper consensus is at 105,572, let's say 106 as the primary level, and that's formed the consensus zone. The lower consensus is at 101,300, and considering the recent downward movement, we can say we've seen it. We got very close, 101,380, and it's in loss, while the upper consensus is in profit. Let's go ahead and update the zones and continue. Alright, you can see the zones have been updated, and this changes our interpretation of these zones because, as you can see, it's come down. So, my upper zone is roughly, look, the upper zone is about 105,500 to 105,700, and my lower zone is actually about 100,300 to 102,000. So, and my middle zone, which is here, consider it from 103,000 to 104,000, which has come down. You see, it's come and settled right where the price has stopped now, next to this gamma long. So, it seems we need to change our arrow, For now, I'll just remove it, because it looks like this could be the end of the move, and on the other hand, the lower zone is wider, and as we said, the lower zone has gone to about 100,200 to 102,000. The maximum profit and loss is also here, where the price paused and then moved upward. Let's look at the indicator bands. Looking at the indicator bands, this is another point that makes us cautious for tomorrow. The ceiling and floor have moved down. Actually, when I checked this morning, the floor had dropped more sharply, down to 98, but now the floor is around expectations, about 101,502. So, maybe this isn't such a crash after all, but what makes us cautious is that, again, for tomorrow's forecast, the indicators floor and ceiling have come down. So, we need to keep this in mind and adjust our outlook a bit, probably due to the change in traders' sentiment. Now, traders' sentiment has also changed for the weekend, which we'll review as well. So, for now, I can draw this arrow, see, the ceiling has come down. We can go up to about 105,500, 106,000, maybe even 106,000 at most for now, up to the upper zone at 105,700. We go up and then come down to around 102,000, about 101,900, 102,000. For now, we'll consider this as the bottom of this range, which could still be a bullish trend, because, look, we still have two bottoms here that haven't been broken. So, it's still possible to draw a bullish trend. Let's keep this in mind for now. We've seen the indicator, so let's move on to delta and gamma 4. Alright, that's that. Now, let's do a refresh on delta and gamma. As you can see, we have two short gammas. Our main big short gamma is at 107,900. At 107,900, it's clear that a call option has been sold here. So, let me zoom in a bit. To be exact, it's at 108,300. Or let's just say 108. At 108, a call option has been sold, which has created a short gamma position for the market maker at 108. Here, a call has been bought, so there's a resistance level close to this ceiling, which is a significant spot. And we have two long gamma positions here, actually for the ticker. Right here, at about 95,000, there's a long gamma, and you can see its height is even greater than our upper long gamma, meaning more puts have been bought. Don't forget, part of it might be for insurance, and around 95,000, so we have a gamma short for the maker at about 95,000. Here, we have a gamma short around 95,000 and another gamma short for the maker at 115,300. 115,300. These are really high levels, but for now, let's just draw it here, close to this ceiling. So these are all gamma points that we have, and the most accessible one is right here at 118. If this upward movement continues, our target can be that same 118. This is an important point. It could be 0.808. Otherwise, if the movement turns downward, for now, the indicator zones and bands are suggesting a move to the downside. Let's continue the analysis and see what we can learn from other indicators. Here, we also mentioned that our downside gamma outweighs the upside gamma. There was another gamma short here too, which I forgot to mention. Let's see, we have another gamma short for the ticker at 103,700, 103,700, which again can act as a support level. 103,700, which is actually a gamma long for maker. There's also one located right here at approximately 103,700, which is right around this area, which is another gamma point. Okay, let's move on and take a look at the other expirations. Allow me, okay. Let's remove the gammas and check another expiration. How about if I add the November 14th, Friday expiration? You can see that the upward leg rises. What's really interesting, and this is what I wanted to tell you, is that when I checked the status of November 14th this morning, it wasn't like this. I even think the downward leg was higher. Now, if I remove the November 13th trades, look, it becomes very bullish. That means today's incoming trades for November 14th, Friday, are forming a bullish curve. Right now, we're still at a bottom. See, where we are now, going up to 108,000, which we talked about, calls have been sold. So, up to here, a ceiling has been set. We can go up to this point and, in fact, realize the ceiling up to here. If we break through it, a series of calls will be activated. If we break and pass this level, a number of call option purchases will be triggered, and their targets could be 113, 114, and ultimately 115. At 115, we had gamma on the downside, but a lot of puts have been sold on the lower side. If we are supposed to continue moving downward, you can see that puts have been sold all the way down to 99,000 or 100,000. Even if we want to take delta into account, it could go down to 95,000. But the point where the red curve turns profitable is 102,000. That 102,000 is a very important level for us. It's a support, a floor that can hold the price. But the overall structure of the price gives a certain outlook. It shows us a bullish outlook. The area that this curve itself displays, considering the delta we have, in the delta, I see a strong selling of puts. Look, again here we have a lot of put selling. A price decrease along with an increase in delta, and a lot of put selling, which again indicates a price gap that traders are waiting to see. So, you can see that this gives us a bullish perspective, which has changed compared to this morning. Let's go in. Take a look at the detailed trades for that same November 13th expiration. The detailed trades, 2,445 Bitcoin, of which 1,087 are buys. Out of these, 667 are call buys and 419 are put buys. So, call buys are dominating, there are more call buys, and they're also being realized. But where are they targeting? Above 105,500, pretty much above 105,500. That's the interesting part. Up to this point, if we go higher than this, they're actually aiming for profit, which we're currently investigating. It's been 7 hours since the trades were entered, and if we go back, pretty much right on this doji here, the trades were entered. So you can see, it's completely clear that it was the calls that have been realized up to now. So we can wait for the puts that, well, aren't that far off in value from the calls, below 101,800, below 102, right here, which again, this lower zone is actually seen as profitable below it. So, we can consider this a target for the sellers. What's their outlook? There are 1,357 Bitcoin sold, 858 call options sold, and 499 put options sold. The puts sold are almost double the calls sold, and that's an important point to notice. And again, here, the call selling is being realized, and we've almost reached the ceiling. Let me clarify. Say resistance is at 105 and 500. If we go further, the absolute max is 106. So, what I'm saying is, even if we go up to 106 here, right at this point, there's a strong dominance of call sellers who see this as the ceiling. That's why I'm a bit hesitant about the price necessarily reaching 108, considering the direction of the zones and the curve. We should be cautious. So, let's set the upper limit around 106. And now, we'll also check the liquidity, since that might help us even more. So, it seems like the upward movement is likely to stall, and we probably won't reach 107 or 108, and instead, we'll head towards. Actually, towards 102, heading to the bottom of this channel. Look, heading to the bottom of this channel. Now, the point here is that nothing is set in stone yet. If you look, the price can get rejected from the channel's midline, just like here. See, the price went a bit past the channel's midline, got rejected, then the channel's bottom acted as support and pushed it back up. The same scenario could repeat here. We might briefly cross the channel's midline, but ultimately get rejected and head towards the channel's bottom, and from there, gather momentum again and aim for, say, 108 or even 109. So, this whole buyer-seller story that we analyzed, and the selling of puts, so here too, selling puts could be a priority for execution. Where? The bottom is seen at 102,800. The put seller sees the bottom here. See how nicely, as I say, the pieces of the puzzle are coming together in a way that we might see the bottom of the channel again, and from the channel's bottom, head back up. We can imagine it like this. Music, okay, so right now, the priority is this leg. Alright. So, that's the trade details. Let's take a look at the other expiries, which we've already checked. Now, let's move on to the process database. In the process database, we had negative open interest. Now, negative open interests aren't a big deal, but we'll just set them to 0. Okay, 1,063 Bitcoin. 1063 Bitcoin. Let's see what trades we actually have. 10 Bitcoin, 47 trades. 12 Bitcoin and above, 36 trades. 15 Bitcoin, 11 trades. Let's just take 12 Bitcoin and above, because apparently there are a lot of strategies here. Alright, let me move this up so we can. See what we've got here. Look at the strategy here, it's interesting. Let me refresh this, it's really fascinating. For positions of 12 Bitcoin and above, we're seeing a put sale. Notice, we're seeing a put sale with a floor around 103,200, well, roughly between 102,500 and 103,200. That means there are some big trades expecting a bottom for tomorrow. They're anticipating that we might see this bottom again. And this, in fact, gives us a bullish outlook for the long term. That's one point from the summary of notable trades we can see. There's also a 200 Bitcoin long call trade for 105,000. Just know that this one has already been executed. It was entered at 4 in the morning, 4 a.m. today, and when I checked the analysis this morning, it was already showing up on the chart. So, this is that same bullish move you're seeing. We even went up to 105 and even 105,300 or 400. So, it's likely that it already hit its target and, of course, according to this trader's prediction, we could go above 105. That is, based on this trader's forecast, we might be able to go higher than 105. But considering the other things we've seen, like the zones and the indicator bands, it seems like we should be a bit cautious. There's probably another pullback to the downside coming. Let's see what strategy we have. These are the two options. Yes, look, there's a short straddle here. This short straddle is at its ceiling. We've even passed its ceiling. Its ceiling was 104,600, and we've gone above that. So this short straddle has reached its ceiling. Its maximum profit is at 102,800, and its floor is 101,500. Again, this is a straddle. This one is probably a straddle too. Yes, it is. Let's look at this one separately. So, up to now, we've seen 75 Bitcoin. Basically, we have a straddle position that has reached its ceiling. Let me deactivate these so we can see the rest. This is also a straddle play, but with different prices. It's here. Look, this straddle, with a size of 25 Bitcoin, has seen the ceiling at 105,600. Again. Look here. Now it's become a 50 Bitcoin short straddle at 105 and 6. These are added as well, and the same goes for these. So far, it's been 100 Bitcoin, 100 short straddles at 105 and 500. Adding this changes the shape. Let's leave it. Now, 100 Bitcoin at the ceiling, and 105 and 600 have been seen. Let's take a look at these as well. These are also a number of block trades. You see, this is also a short straddle, but the ceiling is set higher. Right now, we're at the peak of its profit. Its ceiling is 106,700. Of course, it's not that much higher. At first glance, it seems like a lot, but it's 106,700. These are added as well, and again, it's the same. 50 Bitcoin short straddle with the ceiling at 106,700. Here, these are strangles. Well, yeah, short strangles. No, wait, this one has 3 legs. This one apparently has 3 legs. Oh, I see. Let's clear this up a bit. Of course, we can look at it this way. Actually, we're dealing with this part here. It's like a short strangle. The peak profit is when volatility is between 104 and 104,800. Well, let's say 105, and the ceiling is 106,200, and the floor is 102,700. So overall, you can see that most of our strategies were short straddles, with the ceiling ranging from 100,500 to 106,700. You could say that in this range, they're seeing the ceiling. So, even if we take the average, we haven't placed it in a bad spot, since the price might go up to 106,300 or 106,400. But unanimously, we see that they're seeing a ceiling, and again, we're supposed to head toward a floor, which will probably be around 102 and some change. Alright, that's it for the strategies. The video's gotten a bit long, so let's take a quick look. Don't say I didn't use my head. Let's check the 24-hour liquidity map. We see that on the day at 105,400 to 106,000, there's liquidity, especially at 105,400. This could get hunted by the price since it's also close to the price target. But if you look down at 102,000, there's a lot of liquidity clustered between 101,800 and 102,000. There's also liquidity at 104,000 and 103,000. So, we could see 102,000 again. But what's interesting, and pay close attention, is that as we move forward, looking at the short-term liquidity map, there's no sign of 98 or 99,000 for now. For example, if we look at the head and shoulders pattern. If we want to look at the liquidity for the head and shoulders pattern, well, if it follows along, you'll see that 98 and 99,000 have really faded out. What does that mean? The support level is gradually moving up, the support is rising along with the price, and liquidity is moving up with the price as well. It seems that right now, our important support is at 102. So, if we want to sum things up, we're standing at this arrow, meaning we might go up to around 106, and then 300 could be our ceiling, and from there, we might head back down toward around 102. Or, we could come down to 102 from right here. It might make a bit more of a shadow and go higher, and then come back down. For now, I'm not going to draw the next move after this. Given that our outlook is bullish, I think we'll find support here and move toward attacking 108 and 109, but for now, I won't chart it. We'll take it day by day and see what happens. Thanks for your attention. I hope this has been helpful.